Working in retail is never easy, especially when you have to deal with a bunch of crazies. Welcome to this episode of Tales from Retail. Our first tale is from Jones 2019D. So, a bit of context. My store is a well-known chain store, and I work as a cashier, which includes the self-checkout. Anyway, this story comes from a couple days ago. I'm working the SCO area, and as I'm making my way towards the waiting line, I overhear three customers arguing with each other. I walk over and ask if there's a problem. From what I gathered, one of the customers, an Instacart shopper, tried to cut the line, and the two other customers were calling her out for it. When I asked them if there was a problem, they said the issue was resolved, though Instacart lady was pissed. I said okay and went back to my duties. A couple of minutes later, I had to go help Instacart lady with an ID check on alcohol. As I'm helping her with this, she says, "That was uncool letting me get bullied like that." I asked her to clarify because I thought surely I wasn't hearing this right. She continues, "You let me get bullied by two other customers." Okay, I guess I did hear that right. I told this lady, what exactly did she want me to do? "You should have stood there and listened." Right. You want me to stand there and listen to you having a petty argument with two other grown adults when I have better things to do? Sure. Anyway, I told her that's not my job to resolve customer disputes. She said, "That's fine, because I have everyone's names and I'm going to report you." I told her okay then, but again, it's not my job. "Whatever," she snarls, and she walks out with the stuff. I shrugged and went back to work. Just because you're an Instacart shopper doesn't give you a pass to go straight to the front of the line. This isn't Disneyland. You don't have a fast pass. You're performing a service, but you still have to wait in line like everybody else. This next tale is by Most Initiative 7787. Sunday morning is intense at my store. Makeup and beauty retailer. For starters, we've been opening later than the other stores in the area due to staffing shortages, and corporate won't change our hours online, but we do have a sign on our front doors with the right hours. We must have had a dozen angry people trying to get in today before we opened and rudely telling us, "But it says online you're open." Yes, we know, but we open at 11 and we cannot let you in until then. Even one person screamed at my manager because she had an order pickup, but we can't give it to her until we open. She didn't like that and huffed to, "Just cancel it then." We finally open. A huge crowd of people rushed in right when we opened the doors. I'm clocking out and leaving because I have holiday shopping to do myself. Mind you, I'm not dressed in our work attire. No name tag. Just me, my coat, backpack, and casual clothes on. No indication I would be working. I had two people ask me for help as I'm clocking out, and then 5 seconds later as I'm walking to leave. "Nope, sorry, I'm off the clock. I won't be able to help you." Not rudely, just in my usual tone of voice. Then I walked around to see if there's something I can buy for my partner's mom. Again, me walking around with my backpack on and coat in hand, I hear someone in front of me ask, "Do you work here?" Genuinely do not know how she may have assumed that, but nonetheless I tell her, "Nope, sorry, I'm not working right now." Thankfully, those people were super understanding and were chill. I'm shocked at the level of hateful and angry behavior people give retail workers during the holidays. No presents for you. People can definitely be outright rude, and it almost makes you question if their parents failed at raising them or if the person themselves just failed at grasping the lessons the parents were trying to teach. Nonetheless, I'm glad that you didn't give in, and I'm glad that these customers didn't give you shit for it. This next tale is from Lemon Flavored Melon. Our tale begins with a devilishly handsome retail worker in a micro center. They had a video games section. Now, this handsome retail worker was pretty well versed in games and pop culture, so he was a shoo-in for the job. In comes the Antichrist of our story. A blue whale-sized hell demon with a bob haircut and the sound of straining high heels clicking on the floor, making the sounds of distant thunder. This walking Jupiter looks among the games and she grabs two of them. In a shocking bout of wisdom, she approaches the retail worker and holds up both games asking, "Which is best for a 10-year-old boy?" The games in question? Grand Theft Auto 4, which was new at the time, and Sonic's Sega Collection, both on PS3. Now, what did this retail worker do? Well, obviously be a very responsible salesman and tell the eldritch abomination that the Sega Collection was best, waxing poetic about how the retail worker grew up on those games and enjoyed them when he was 10 years old. So the unending maw holds both games and deliberates for roughly 10 minutes. This time deciding to go against the retail worker's best judgment and bought Grand Theft Auto 4. The worker thought nothing of it, just the usual when it comes to monsters like this. But this is not where the tale ends. Oh no. This honorable knight wasn't prepared for this dragon's fiery breath. The next day, our still handsome rogue of a retail worker had a weird feeling, that which felt like Spider-Man's Spidey sense. There she was when the store opened, the look on her face, the contours of anger upon the makeup-caked face upon the Satan spawn. He knew this day would come, and was prepared. Oh, but he wasn't prepared for what was coming.
"You sold me a game that had violence, sex, and curse words in it,"
the banshee let out of her facial abyss. The rogue knight was taken aback. He mustered up his courage, looked this dragon in the eye, and said with the most customer-friendly voice, "Ma'am, if I recall, I did suggest a better game for your 10-year-old. The Sega Collection?" This was his fatal mistake. Using logic against a chaotic being would be his undoing and leave him mentally scarred for eternity. The monster reared its ugly head and spewed these words upon the air in which they breathed.
"Well, maybe you should have been a more assertive salesman and smacked the game out of my hands."
The words pierced the worker's heart. The amount of stupidity elemental damage got past his armor, and it was the crucial hit to his logic stat. With her screaming for aid from the manager, he told her to leave the store. To this day, our handsome retail worker has been wondering of this monster's past. Has she had someone smack something out of her hands at a store? Has she read it upon the chiseled stones of Google? I bring you this story, my young ones, as a warning to those in the future. Using logic against a Karen will only be your downfall. I honestly would love to see how she would react if you did smack the GTA 4 out of her hands. I mean, really, what's she expecting? I guarantee if you did that, she'd not only wail for a manager, but demand that you be fired as well as the police be called. It was a no-win situation from the start. And our final tale is by Avenida Galaxia. Many years ago, I worked for a company that owned 6 neighborhood hardware stores in a small city. This was before big box stores began moving into urban areas, so the stores were quite busy. The stores all had different names, and very few people knew they were under the same ownership. I was the assistant manager of one store. We did not display merchandise on the sidewalk, save for one push-reel lawnmower in season. It was placed flat against the wall in the vestibule. It was possible that someone could catch their foot on it and fall, but no one ever had. It had been done that way for decades, and no one thought to change it. Until one Saturday. There was a crash and a woman cried out. Everyone turned to see a woman in her early 60s sitting on the ground, legs spread out in front of her. Her 30-year-old son, who was standing behind her, started to shout about the idiots who put that there, and that we were going to be sorry and he was going to call his lawyer. She refused an ambulance. She swore that she was okay. Her son picked her up and they went on their way. I don't remember the details of the following week. Of course, the mower was moved and never placed there again. The police may have come in to make a report, and I think a letter from a lawyer may have been received. My full-time position was salaried, but I was allowed to pick up hourly shifts to fill in at other stores on my days off. Therefore, on Sunday of the following week, I was filling in for the manager of a store across town. Shortly after we opened, a clerk came running to get me, saying that a woman had fallen in an aisle. Again? I thought. This never happens. Now, twice in just over a week. I turn the corner and who do I find sitting on the floor? But our friend from the other store, minus her son. She didn't recognize me at first. There was nothing on the floor in the aisle to be tripped over. How unfortunate for you to have fallen twice in 1 week. Are you okay? Then she recognized me.
Oh no,
she said. She was fine and moved to get up. Oh no, I was right on top of her. You need to stay there. 2 falls in a week? You need an ambulance to take you to the emergency room. When the clerk had to come get me, 2 policemen were also in the store having keys copied for their cruiser. They had followed, but entered the aisle from the other side. With mock concern, I explained to them how she had fallen in our store across town just over a week ago, but she had refused medical evaluation. This time I had to insist that she gets an ambulance to the ER. Falling twice in 1 week, there's no telling what could be wrong. And with mock concern, they agreed and called for an ambulance. Funny, I don't think we ever heard from her, her son, or their lawyer again. I feel like it should be mandatory that if you're going to sue an establishment for falling or getting injured there, that you should at least have the history of going to the hospital, getting checked out. There should be something. The fact that she said oh no when she recognized you, yeah, she realized her ruse was up. Glad you never saw her, her son, or their lawyer again. Alright, that's enough tales for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Tales from Retail. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit the bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.